There is a specific person in your life right now who you have never fully trusted, and you have never been able to say why. Not because they've done anything you could point to, not because anyone else sees it, just a delay before their smile reaches their eyes, a softness in their voice that only appears the moment they need something from you. And for years, you called that feeling paranoia, overthinking, too sensitive. By the end of this video, you're going to find out it was none of those things. It was the most accurate instinct you've ever had, and it's been trying to protect you for longer than you realize. There is a particular kind of exhaustion that comes from being around people who perform warmth without feeling it. Not the loud, obvious kind of cruelty. It's easy to spot, easy to walk away from. This is quieter. It's a person who can read your emotions perfectly, who knows exactly which words will make you feel safe, seen, understood, and uses that knowledge like a key, not a bridge. They study people the way others study a room before they rob it, and somewhere in your body, before your mind ever caught up, you already knew. Psychologists have a name for this kind of person, and once you understand how they operate, you will not be able to unsee it in your own life. That's the strange gift and the strange curse of sensing a dark empath. You feel the mismatch before you can name it. There are 7 signals in total, and the 5th one is the one most people don't admit to themselves until much later, because it isn't about the other person at all. It's about you. Stay with me until then, because right after it, I'm going to show you the one uncomfortable reason your body learned to notice this in the first place, and it changes how you'll see every relationship you've ever felt this way in. The first sign is the compliment that arrives at a strange time. Not when you've done something worth celebrating, but right after you've said no to something. Right after you've set a boundary. It lands like warmth, but it functions like a leash. A dark empath understands validation the way a locksmith understands tumblers. They know precisely where the click happens inside another person, and they press there gently until you open back up. You feel flattered and unsettled in the same breath. That contradiction is not confusion. That's your intuition doing its job. The second sign is how quickly they can become whoever the room needs. Not adapting the way we all do a little, softer with a grieving friend, sharper with a difficult coworker. This is different. This is a full costume change, and it happens too smoothly, too fast, like they rehearsed it. You watch them become someone's best friend in an afternoon, and something in you recoils, because real closeness usually has friction. It usually takes time. When it doesn't, some part of you starts quietly asking what the performance is for. And that question doesn't go away. It just gets quieter, waiting for more proof. The third sign is the way empathy shows up only when it's being watched. They will describe pain with devastating accuracy. They know exactly what to say to someone who is hurting, but the words don't seem to cost them anything. Real empathy has weight. It changes the person feeling it at least a little every time. What you're sensing is empathy with no residue, understanding without absorption, and your body notices the absence of that weight even when your mind is still trying to give them credit. It will keep giving them credit, actually, right up until the 4th sign makes that impossible. The 4th sign is how conveniently their memory works. They remember, with surgical precision, the one time you let them down. They seem to forget, almost instantly, the 10 times they let you down. This isn't poor memory, it's selective architecture, a story engineered to keep them positioned as the reasonable one, the patient one, the misunderstood one. And you start to feel disoriented, because you know what happened, and yet somehow you're the one explaining yourself. Now here's the 5th one, the one I mentioned earlier, and it's usually the sign people describe last, almost embarrassed to admit it. You feel calmer around them when they need something from you, and colder the moment you don't have anything left to offer. Not cruelty, just temperature change, a withdrawal of warmth so smooth it barely registers as rejection. But your body registers it. Your body always registers it, even when your mind is busy making excuses for the silence. This one matters more than the rest, because it's the first sign that isn't really about reading them anymore. It's about what your own body has been trying to tell you the entire time. Hold on to that thought. It's going to matter in a few minutes. The 6th sign is that they are almost never surprised by people's flaws. Ask them about someone who hurt you, and they'll nod like they already knew. Not because they're wise. Because they were watching for it the way a hunter watches for weakness, cataloging it quietly, filing it away for later use. And some part of you, the ancient part, the part that kept your ancestors alive around dangerous people, starts keeping its own quiet file too. One more sign left, and it's the one that started before all the others, whether you realized it or not. The seventh sign is the one that took you the longest to trust, because it isn't about them at all. It's the tightening in your chest before you've consciously understood why. The hesitation before you share something vulnerable, even when you can't explain the hesitation. The dream you had about them that felt more honest than the conversation you had that day. This is not anxiety. This is pattern recognition running faster than conscious thought. Years of small data points your nervous system quietly compiled into a single wordless sentence. Be careful here. And this is where most people stop the story. They learn to spot the dark empath, and they think the lesson ends there. Protect yourself from them. But there's a deeper question underneath all of this, one most people never ask, because it requires turning the mirror around instead of pointing it outward. Why were you the one who noticed? Why did your body build this radar in the first place, sensitive enough to detect a performance most people walk straight into? This next part is the one that changes how you see everything you just heard, and there's one sentence coming, right near the end of this, that's going to make all 7 of those signs make sense in a way you didn't expect. But we have to get there in order. For a lot of people who develop this kind of perception, it didn't start with dark empaths at all. It started much earlier and much closer to home. It started with learning to read a parent's mood before they walked fully into the room, because their good day or their bad day decided how safe you'd feel for the next few hours. It started with becoming fluent in tiny shifts, a tension in the jaw, a pause before an answer, because those shifts told you things words weren't allowed to say out loud in your house. That is not paranoia. That is a child's nervous system doing the only job available to it, staying safe by staying alert. And it worked. It kept you prepared. It kept you one step ahead of chaos you couldn't control any other way. The problem is that the skill never got the memo that the danger ended. It kept running in adulthood, scanning rooms that were actually safe, cataloging people who meant you no harm, because it had never been taught the difference between vigilance and safety. It only knew one setting. This is the part that's usually misunderstood the most. Hypervigilance is not a personality trait. It's a memory the body refuses to let go of. Every time you feel that tightening in your chest around someone new, some part of you isn't just reacting to them. It's cross-referencing them against every person who ever hurt you while wearing a warm expression. Your intuition isn't broken. It's overqualified. It's still working the shift it was trained for years ago, in a much smaller, much more dangerous room. And here's the quiet, uncomfortable truth underneath all of it, the one I told you we'd come back to. The same sensitivity that lets you detect a dark empath is often the exact same sensitivity that made you a magnet for one in the first place. Because people who perform emotion for a living are drawn to people who feel deeply and apologize for it. Your empathy wasn't the flaw. It was simply unguarded, because no one ever taught you that empathy needs boundaries the same way a house needs walls. Not to keep warmth out, but to decide who gets to come inside. So if you've spent years feeling like you attract the wrong people, or like you can sense things others miss and it exhausts you, understand this clearly. That ability was never a curse. It was a survival skill built inside a place where survival wasn't guaranteed. The exhaustion you feel isn't weakness. It's the cost of running an alarm system that was built for war, in a life that is slowly becoming peace. Healing this doesn't mean turning the alarm off completely. You don't want to lose the perception. You want to recalibrate it. You want to reach the point where you can notice the mismatch in someone's warmth without immediately assuming you have to fix it, fawn over it, or explain it away. You want to trust the tightening in your chest as information, not as an emergency. Not everyone who makes you feel that quiet unease is dangerous, but everyone who makes you feel that quiet unease deserves your attention before your access. This is where boundaries stop being a wall and start being a filter. A wall keeps everyone out. A filter simply slows things down long enough for the truth to surface. You don't have to diagnose every person you meet. You just have to give yourself permission to wait, to watch what someone does when they no longer need anything from you, to notice whether their warmth survives your no. Real connection doesn't flinch at a boundary. It only reveals itself more honestly on the other side of one. And slowly as you practice this, not perfectly, just consistently, something shifts. The hypervigilance softens into discernment. The exhaustion turns into clarity. You stop needing every relationship to prove itself immediately because you've built something steadier inside yourself. The quiet understanding that your worth was never dependent on being chosen by people who only knew how to perform love instead of offering it. You were not too sensitive. You were paying attention in a world that often rewards people for not. And that delay you noticed, right at the very beginning, before someone's smile reached their eyes, that was never paranoia. That was the same nervous system that once kept a frightened child safe in an unpredictable house, still working, still watching, still yours. And here finally is that one sentence. Every sign you just recognized in someone else started as a sign you once had to recognize in the people who were supposed to love you first. That's the whole answer. That's why you noticed. Except now you get to choose what it's used for. Not to hunt for danger in every room you enter, but to recognize peace, real peace, the moment it finally, quietly arrives. If somewhere in these 7 signs you saw a face, a name, a memory you weren't expecting, tell me in the comments who came to mind, because you're probably not the only one who's carried this quietly. And if this helped you make sense of something you've felt for a long time, consider staying. Subscribe so the next one finds you when you need it.